Welcome to the internet, valued spectator. This is LeoFilm. I am Leo, and I just finished Week 2 and 3 of Warboss Taste 2021 February Painting Challenge. The progress. Most of Week 2 went into scripting, recording, drawing, composing, and editing for the Week 1 video. On some days I didn't even do anything for the project. What I did do, I did during the night after the video production shift. But first, daily questions about culture. Whose project are you enjoying following? Why? Jamjar34, the Lord of Spice. Not an actual Jamjar, but possibly a dinosaur. He's been with the challenge from the start, shouting out shoutouts and balancing the hobby with his apprenticeship like a boss. What movie made you laugh so hard you couldn't breathe? Inglourious Basterds, when I went to see it in the cinema with my brother and sister. The scene where Landa and his men approach the Lapadite farm contains a few nods to the scene on the McBain property in Once Upon a Time in the West. By the time the scene was accompanied with an Ennio Morricone track based on Ludwig van Beethoven's Für Elise, the theater was filled with an audience on the edges of their seats and three siblings laughing their butts off. What is the worst, most cringiest comedy movie you've ever seen? I don't know, probably Epic Movie or Meet the Spartans. What movie makes you cry every time you watch it? The most any movie can ever hope for out of my tear ducts is about half a tear shared between both eyes. A movie that consistently manages to bring this about is Fiddler on the Roof, specifically the musical number Chavale, Little Bird. What is the worst performance your favorite actor has ever done? Well, if he delivered a bad performance, I haven't seen it yet. What is your favorite romantic movie, book or TV show? Fireproof, Snuff, and Parker Lewis Can't Lose. What is your favorite book? The Bible. What is your favorite movie soundtrack? Among my favorite movie soundtracks are, for example, the combined Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Aviator. What was the last book you read? Was it any good? Ghostmaker by Dan Abnett. It was pretty neat. Who is your favorite author? What about their writing do you really enjoy? My favorite author is William King. Among other Black Library material, he wrote the Gotrek and Felix series while it was good, the Ragnar Blackmane series, and the standalone novel Farseer. He excels at writing action-packed dark comedies but can also do more serious mystery. What book would you want to see turned into a movie? It's not going to happen in today's cultural climate, but I want to see a Dracula movie that actually sticks to Stoker's novel in terms of plot and appearances, without shortcuts or additions. Share a story. This is an article from the Tombstone Epitaph from April 26, 1890. Found on the desert. A strange winged monster discovered and killed on the Huachuca Desert. A winged monster resembling a huge alligator with an extremely elongated tail and an immense pair of wings was found on the desert between the Whetstone and Huachuca Mountains last Sunday by two ranchers who were returning home from the Huachucas. The creature was evidently greatly exhausted by a long flight, and when discovered was able to fly but a short distance at a time. After the first shock of wild amazement had passed, the two men, who were on horseback and armed with Winchester rifles, regained sufficient courage to pursue the monster and after an exciting chase of several miles succeeded in getting near enough to open fire with their rifles and wounding it. The creature then turned on the men, but owing to its exhausted condition, they were able to keep out of its way, and after a few well-directed shots, the monster partly rolled over and remained motionless. The men cautiously approached, their horses snorting with terror, and found that the creature was dead. They then proceeded to make an examination and found that it measured about 92 feet in length, and the greatest diameter was about 50 inches. The monster had only 2 feet, these being situated a short distance in front of where the wings were joined to the body. The head, as near as they could judge, was about 8 feet long, the jaws being thickly set with strong sharp teeth. Its eyes were as large as a dinner plate and protruded about halfway from the head. They had some difficulty in measuring the wings as they were partly folded under the body, but finally got one straightened out sufficiently to get a measurement of 78 feet, making the total length from tip to tip about 160 feet. The wings were composed of a thick and nearly transparent membrane and were devoid of feathers or hair, as was the entire body. The skin of the body was comparatively smooth and easily penetrated by a bullet. The men cut off a small portion of the tip of one wing and took it home with them. Late last night, one of them arrived in the city for supplies and to make the necessary preparations to skin the creature when the hide will be sent east for examination by the eminent scientists of the day. The finder returned early this morning accompanied by several prominent men who will endeavor to bring the strange creature to the city before it is mutilated.
Daily questions about getting to know you.
Whose project are you enjoying following? Why? Dicey guy. His videos are just fun to watch. Let's just hope his power stays on. Describe the ideal weekend. 20 degrees Celsius during the day, 5 minutes of rain at night and no appointments until board game night. If you could have lunch with any historical figure, who would it be? Where would you go? What would you talk about? I guess I would like to talk to the 2 ranchers and have them take me to the Huachuca Desert where they claim to have shot what basically amounts to a dragon. Describe a talent you forgot you had. I don't remember. When are you most content and at peace? At 3 a.m. What was your most memorable Valentine's Day? Tell us a story. I can't recall a memorable Valentine's Day. Whose project are you enjoying following? Why? Player Painted. His project isn't particularly big in scope, but the commissions he had to go through to get there are quite something. Tell us about your first memory. My first memory is my first favorite toy, a yellow wooden lamp with holes for a shoelace. At the time of the memory, I hadn't yet learned to pronounce an L, so I called it my Nambi. If you had a magical vending machine that could create any food or drink in the world, what would be the first thing you'd order? I would order a peanut butter banana burger. It tastes worlds better than what you're probably imagining right now. What is something you're good at that people may not know about? I'm not putting something on the internet that people may not know about. Who inspires you to succeed now? That is a good question. When you were a kid, what was your favorite snack? Haribo gummy bears.
Daily questions about the hobby.
Whose project are you enjoying following? Why? David Moffat. He's painting undead, and I like undead. What army or game are you most proud of painting? Always the current one. If you could be an ethereal spirit that could float around and observe any in-game fictional battle with no fear of being hurt or killed, which battle would you want to be spectator to? I would want to watch the defense of the northern polar fortress during the battle for McCrag. What army or game do you want to eventually collect and paint? The real question is, what army or game do you not want to eventually collect and paint? Share a YouTube channel that you enjoy watching for the hobby. Okay, so here's where I shout out Miniac. After his tutorials and tips, he never tires of reminding you not to
forget to pay my monies!
Share a YouTube channel that you enjoy watching for something other than miniatures wargaming. I watch a lot of Timcast IRL. 5 times a week they have a guest or 2 on the show to talk politics, culture and the news of the day, among other things. It's mostly US-centric, but they also discuss global issues. Now I only have to find a channel like that for my own country. Whose project are you enjoying following? Why? Marshy's been posting some nice progress pictures of a dreadnought on the Discord. I have a feeling he will succeed in the challenge successfully. What is your favorite army or faction, and in what game, based on the look of the miniatures? I don't have any, but solely based on the miniatures, my favorite faction is the Praetorian Guard from Warhammer 40k's Astra Militarum. What army or faction did you fall in love with as soon as it was released? The Tyranids, when they got a faction-wide facelift for the 3rd edition codex in 2001. What is your favorite army or faction, and in what game, based on the lore or fiction? The army with the best lore were Warhammer 40,000's Space Orcs during 2nd edition. Their codex went into great detail about the society, the tribal system, judicial disputes, monetary systems, music, diet and pastimes. Seeing them reduced to angry fungi with the onset of the 3rd edition was a real bummer. What is your favorite army or faction, and in what game, based on the rules? Is it easy to learn or deep and nuanced? What do you enjoy about playing this army and this game? I haven't really read any rulebooks, let alone played a miniature wargame in the past 7 years, give or take. Share a painting technique or skill that you often use. Where did you learn it? What do you use it for? Lately, I prefer to paint wet in wet to build up highlights. However, the drying retardant acrylic medium I mix in with the paint to give me the necessary time to apply all the paint to a certain area on the miniature was not specifically developed for the painting of miniatures. This leads to a layer of paint with a visible thickness to it by the time it has dried. That's okay though, because highlights aren't for recesses anyway, and the matte varnish spray I use to seal the paint job smoothes it over quite nicely. But when I ran out of drying retardant acrylic medium, I'm going to look for a hobby-specific product.
Tell a joke.
I was going to tell you a time travel joke now, but you didn't like it.
How is your project going? Do you think you'll be able to finish by the end of the month?
Like I said, most of week 2 went into producing my week 1 video. I might have to add another week or 2 to the challenge to offset this. For me, the challenge isn't really about a set amount of minis anyway, but about putting in a shift every day, even if it's just for this one tiny step, and I've been slacking for a few days, even during week 3. Anyway, here's the progress I've made so far. I painted the eyes. I painted the insides of the open mouths. I painted the visible teeth with 1-to-1 mixtures of Zendri dust and another paint to create different dentine shades. The bandana bros got a bit of color coding on their turtle gear. The hammer pants hermanos got appropriate colors as well. The green hulking brute got purple pants. I shaded everything. I gave the muddy parts of the bases a good flooding with Agrick's earth shade. Twice. I dry brushed the stone slabs. I dry brushed the mud. I started highlighting the leather bits and some of the clothes with the method I described earlier. This usually takes up to 5 steps. First, I reapply the original base paint, then a mix between that and a lighter shade layer paint, then just that layer paint, and then a mix between it and an even lighter layer paint, and finally just the lighter paint on the most prominent corners. I might come back later with a light dry brush if I'm not quite satisfied with the end result.
An additional challenge.
I hereby issue an additional challenge to my fellow challengees. We have been collectively inspired to get creative and do stuff. We all have seen a YouTube tutorial before, and this is where we should give back. So here's what you do. In the first week of March, you make a video tutorial of your own. It doesn't even have to be hobby related. If you have another hobby, show us. Explain how to file our taxes. Teach us an awesome yo-yo trick. Maybe you know an obscure language and can teach us a few words. It really doesn't matter so long as the video title starts with how to, and we or someone else can learn something from it. And if you have no idea right now what to make a tutorial about, neither have I. Let's see what we can come up with. Alright, we're done here for now. Click all the buttons if that's your thing, and if you absolutely must leave a comment, don't be a grime bucket.